You're listening to the Maryland Fishing Line, a production of the Chesapeake Angler Magazine. And now your host, Brian Rains.
Hey everybody, I'm Brian.
I'm Joey.
Welcome to the Maryland Fishing Line, episode 11. Yep. Today is Tuesday, August 4th, right on the tailwinds of Hurricane Isis. Or
I forgot you were calling it that.
I can't remember. This is a podcast where we talk about fishing throughout the state of Maryland. I used to say the great state of Maryland. Why did I change that? I don't know.
Is it a great state?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's a beautiful state.
So I'm going to go back to throughout the great state of Maryland. It's just different in the notes.
Yeah.
The Maryland Fishing Line is a production of the Angler Magazine Chesapeake Edition. The Chesapeake Angler can be found throughout southern Maryland and Arundel County and the Eastern Shore. If you would like to see it in your area and it's not there, well, you got to come get one.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it is.
Yeah, you get your coupon.
Yeah, and get a coupon. Harbor Freight, 20% off coupon on this month's cover. No, seriously, if you would like to see our magazine in your area and it's not there, please let us know, and we will do everything we can to get it there. How you doing, Joey?
I'm doing pretty good.
Wow. August already, dude.
I know you've had me on for how many episodes now?
I don't know.
You haven't got kicked off
like
yet.
7? Something like that? Yeah, I know.
I'm making moves.
So before we dig into what you and I have been up to, and I got a lot to talk about this week, let's take a look at what's going on around the state. I literally went through everything, and it's almost like nothing changed from last week.
I was going to ask, how are we going to, if it basically...
Nothing changed.
Well, give it a couple days after the storm.
We're going to talk about the storm, too. I got that down here in the show notes as well to talk about. But, looking at everything else, nothing has changed. So we'll run through it in case you don't want to go back and listen to episode 10 as episode 11. Main Chesapeake Bay surface water temperatures are in the mid-80s, which is the peak water temperature for most of the bay during the course of the year. These these hot and calm conditions produce water. I'm going to start all over with that. These hot, calm conditions warm the surface waters and limit oxygen being recharged to the deeper waters. This, in turn, increases the chances of algae blooms. There we go. That's what's going on throughout the state. Looking at striped bass, this is exactly the same as last week. Hey, go fish for something else, honestly.
Well, I was going to say, striped bass, stop fishing for them.
Stop. The weather's putting a lot of heat-related stress on the summer striped bass population. Please consider focusing on early morning hours, or this is the best thing to do, switch to targeting another species during the heat. Yeah. But if you do target striped bass, remember that you must use non-offset circle hooks when chumming or live lining. Let's take care of our fish, folks. They take care of us. Let's take care of them. This is just the time. And you're going to catch them. If you go out to fish for specks, and you're like, oh, I'd really love to get a striper. Yeah, there's a really good shot that you're going to bycatch a striper. So, just go target something else, and you're probably going to hook up with some.
Challenge yourself, too. I mean, if that's what you're doing in the first place.
Downsize your baits. Go for something smaller. Do something. Lighten up your tackle.
Well, I won't go too deep, but I switched to light tackle and little stuff last week. You get a good perch when you have the right gear. If you're not throwing like a big old something I'm catching a 30-inch rockfish on. You know it. The perch are fun. Changes it up.
When I was in North Carolina last week,
it
was after, we're going to talk about this later, but I was fishing that 2-pound and 4-pound test after I caught the trout. Yeah. I went down in the river and got into some rock bass, which were like, 3/4 maybe pounders. Mm-hmm. In that moving water on super light tackle. Dude, that was ridiculously fun. We're going to talk about more about that later.
Anyway, change it up.
Bluefish.
Bluefish are fun to fish for.
Yeah.
Provided the river like the size of your hand so you don't lose the tails of all your rubbers.
You definitely don't want to lose the tails on your rubbers.
Hot and dry weather with high salinities equals more and better shots at the blues. Throwing spoons and hoses will put you on the bluefish. Small bluefish are running about 1 pound, which is fun for the kids unless they want to touch their mouth.
Is there? God, I'm not even going to go there.
And a perfect eating size, whether fresh or smoked. And a reminder, the daily limit for a 2020 limit twice is three bluefish per day for anglers fishing from private boats or shore, and 5 bluefish per day when fishing from a charter boat.
Looking at cobia. Cobia fishing has been good all of this summer. Best places to target, the middle grounds to target ship, mud leads, and point lookout. All your traditional methods are working chumming and fishing with cut bait or live eels. You can also catch some large cobia with other live baits, such as spot. Sight fishing with live eels or large soft plastics with a lead head jig is also something that people are really starting to get into. It does require an elevated platform to spot fish and polarized sunglasses to cut through the glare on the water. You can also hook up with cobia by trolling spoons and hoses.
I wonder how many people bought drones after I talked about it last week.
It's a great idea.
But I know, man, I gotta stop. I'm causing us to lose our rhythm.
That's okay.
We
have a rhythm?
Well, I was watching a guy catching really big redfish off of a paddleboard in Texas on YouTube last night.
Yeah.
Remember, watch your YouTube channels.
Yeah, watch your YouTube.
Watch your YouTube, especially ours. And he brought up at the end, someone was asking him questions because he was mainly using the he was doing patterns and how to fish for redfish and certain shallows and learning the tides for it. It was really cool, but at the end he was talking about people have been asking him questions about, is he using that to fish?
The drone.
Yeah. And so I don't know how that would work.
I
guess he was trying to talk to a game warden, and I haven't seen the episode after that.
So you talking about using the drone to actually, because I've seen people
I was talking about using the drone to fish for cobia, because cobia is a big, obviously that's why they have cobia towers, the sight fish.
Uh-huh.
Well,
so use the drone to go up and look for the fish.
Yeah.
Or, I know on some surf.
Are you thinking about using a drone with a line?
Using a drone to drop a line.
No, I was talking about using a drone to scout out for.
Okay.
So, because he pointed out,
fishing.
because he had the drone up while he was, he caught a 40-inch on light tackle in the shallows, but he was showing some other stuff that he said he didn't realize he scared us so many redfish until he didn't even realize they were there until he was looking at the footage. But he was talking about how people using that to their advantage of, if they bring a little DJI or whatever, it'll fit in your bag.
Yeah.
And even when you're on a paddleboard, launching that thing.
Well, think about this too.
I don't know if it's cheating.
I watch a couple of YouTube channels, and 618 Fishing, he flies a drone, and I know that he uses it for the footage for the videos.
That's all this guy was using it for.
But no, I'm pretty sure what he does is when he gets to he fishes the spillways out in the Midwest, and he'll put that drone up, and before you have to walk a half mile down a creek to see if there's any deeper, larger water back there,
he's
going to
run
that drone down there and see what's down there.
We should get my drone out for your do some YouTube stuff for you.
Let's do it.
Just get some stock stuff to build up.
Yeah.
Anyway, redfish and puppy drum, large red drum are being caught and released by light tackle jiggers with soft plastics in the lower bay. Trolling spoons and hoses will catch you all types of fish, including the redfish. Around the target ship.
Cool. Specs. Shallow water fishing for speckled trout continues with topwater and soft paddle tail baits near shallow grass beds. Grass beds are the key.
Yep.
Reports show that soft plastics and paddle tails work best over deep grass, shoreline structure, rocks, riprap, wood, and stump fields. Always a good opportunity. The best speckled trout fishing is occurring along the marshes of the Pocomoke and the Tangier Sounds, all the way up to Hooper's Island. Grass beds in 3 to 5 feet of water are excellent places to cast topwater lures and swim shads. Get after them specs.
Yep. The old Spanish mackerel, just like bluefish, they love combinations of hot, dry weather and salinity being relatively high. Anglers are hoping for a repeat of last year's hot action on Spanish mackerel, which extended all the way to the upper bay.
So one change, I have heard that they are starting to move up. So.
Oh, yeah? I've heard they catch them under the bridge and stuff around here in Solomon's.
Yeah.
You will find them right now busting schools of bait fish alongside the bluefish. They're being caught by fast trolling. 7 knots is the target speed with a small drone or Clark spoon. Do they eat the rubber hoses too? Always be ready with metal lures in case Spanish mackerel show up on the surface, and watch your fingers.
Watch your fingers. White perch and spot are running together. And that is old, reliable during these hot summer months. They're spread throughout the entire Chesapeake Bay. So if you're looking for something to do with the kids, that's the way to do it. Many anglers are finding small fish in some areas, but the big fish can be culled out of that school. You just got to keep catching. Usual small spinners and 16th to 8th ounce lead heads with Mr. Twister grubs on light spinning tackle will produce great results. Pieces of bloodworm, grass shrimp, and seafood shrimp are great for spot, and add in some small perch or small minnows to get on the perch too.
The crocus, a few small croaker have been caught but most are sublegal. Handle the fish quickly and get them back in the water.
And I'd love to see a croaker fishery come back.
I know they were catching them at the end of a dowel the other day.
Any size?
I don't know. I'll find the pictures. Just
so
not 8 inches. I don't know. Nothing
not
huge.
really any size. Hopefully they get them back in.
Yep.
Switching up to freshwater, looking at largemouth. Bass are now firmly entrenched in their summer patterns. Look for them to feed early and late in the day and find some place to be lazy donuts during the day. Ponds and small lakes can be fished from shore with a variety of weedless soft plastics, including worms, flukes, lizards in the grass, lily pads. Always look for the sunken wood structure. That is going to be your success zone.
Yeah. Snakeheads. The northern snakeheads will jump all over traditional bass lures such as buzzbaits and frogs. These are excellent baits to cast over thick grass that we are seeing a lot of now.
Ooh, and we should have water back on top of some of those grass beds now.
Oh, with all
the storm stuff, yeah.
Chatterbaits and paddletails will also produce snakeheads, as seen in Brian's videos.
Mm-hmm.
On the eastern shore, the Dorchester County tidal Blackwater tributaries to the Nanticoke and Wicomico are consistent hotspots.
Looking at catfish, Conowingo Dam is producing some very large flatheads right now. We talked about this last week.
Mm-hmm.
I really would like to try to catch a flathead. I want
to go out and just catfish one day.
Yeah, we talked about that.
I mean, not like catfishing, like the thing to do with teens and young adults now.
Channel cats are abundant just about all over, everywhere now as well. And all of these catfish can be caught on fresh cut baits, chicken livers, clam snouts, and anything that smells bad.
Mm-hmm. The rest, the White Marlin Open kicked off today.
Actually, that was yesterday.
I thought it was yesterday.
It was yesterday, yeah. Because I wrote this because we were going to record yesterday, and then Joey had Popeyes. And
Popeyes put me in the hurt locker. Anyway, I'll get back to the Popeyes because I didn't even think about my traditional Popeyes tradition. Basically, 42 boats went out, and there are 433 registered.
Yep.
I wonder how many went out after the storm today. Did you know Nick and Rusty have a new boat called the Rochambeau that own the lighthouse?
No, really?
It's beautiful. It's like a 70.
They're fishing over on the coast?
They have it at Ocean City, and I think they caught a couple white marlin last week getting ready for the tournament. Like the boat just got in the water. Are they in the tournament? Did they I believe so, yeah.
Cool. You got a boat like that over there, you're going to be in it.
Oh, they're all about it. Like that's their dream.
Yeah.
The estimated cash prize pool still stands at $6.7 million. I think we should get a couple kayaks out there.
Yeah, I'm in. Come on.
Yeah. Anglers will target white and blue marlin, tuna, wahoo, dolphin, and shark. The tournament dates were extended by 2 days because of the tropical storm Isis is expected to pass by Ocean City on Tuesday, which I was watching. One news station was doing the coverage of that with boats being delayed.
They're going 45 or 50 miles offshore. I don't even know what the impact is going to be out there as far inland as this storm came.
It depends on depends on your boat size too. Our kayaks will probably handle well.
Yeah.
With that change, each boat is now permitted to fish any 3 days from Monday, August 3rd through Sunday, August 9th.
So I didn't check the standings today, but when I checked it yesterday, they only had tuna checked in yesterday, which makes sense. Rough water tuna. I mean, that's what's going to happen. Looking at what's going on on the YouTube channel over the last week, the snakehead and bass. I dropped the snakehead and bass video from 7 ponds in Charles County, and dude, it exploded. I had like over 500 views on that thing. I think it's even past that now. The channel. Now I just launched the channel like 3 months ago.
Yep.
We just passed 13,000 views and 800 hours of view time. So people are really digging it. I hope that people
13,000.
13,000 views and 800 hours of view time in the first 3 months.
Well, half of that's me. No, I'm just kidding.
Again, thank you everybody that's been watching the channel. I do appreciate that. I did launch a new monthly giveaway with multiple ways to enter, and the prize is a $25 Bass Pro Shops gift card. Now, I'm still looking for Zach F. That one is the random comment selection from the $10 one I did initially. I haven't seen him. I'm going to put a link in the show notes on how you can enter, but you can also go to our Facebook page and look for the tab on the left that says, I think it says like August 2020 giveaway or something like that. And of course, if there's anything you would like to see covered on the YouTube channel that we are not doing, let us know and we will get on it. The August issue of Chesapeake I can't talk tonight. It's just I need more whiskey.
You gotta stare at
The
catalog.
August issue is out now and being distributed. If you want to see your catch in print, our brag board, it's almost like as soon as the magazine comes out, we got to start thinking about the next month's content.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm already putting out a call for brag board photos. If you would like to send a brag board photo and you'd like to see your picture in print in the magazine in the September issue, send them to theanglerchesapeake@gmail.com. Please make sure to include a byline and that you have attached the highest resolution image that you have suitable for printing. And if you send them from your phone, make sure to send the largest file size possible. And Joey's over there thumbing through, and that's hot off the presses, dude. That just came out like.
I was going to see who got on this month's.
Oh, I did 2 pages of brag
I
board.
heard.
Did 2 pages of brag board.
Ooh,
I got
sneaking.
so many. There you go. It's right there. You're just right at it.
I'm just looking at your beautiful pictures of you.
Yeah, I feel like there's a bunch of pictures of me in this month's magazine. I got to stop that. This is like the first
That's
month
pretty
I've
good,
ever
though.
done that. Yeah, not a nice layout. There's a bunch of people, and that's a centerfold too, dude.
Hey, is that Will?
No,
No, it's not. Sorry.
no.
Anyway,
So there you go. What have you been up to this week? Did you fish? at all this
no.
week?
I might go 2 weeks before I hit the water because of my knee.
Really?
It doesn't sound like a lot, but and actually, you know what's messed up? Was it Sunday morning? I'm like, all right, I think I got some of my stuff ready. Anyway, set the alarm. Totally, I was kind of like groggy when I woke up.
Yeah.
Checked the wind. I was like, the wind picked up more than I wanted. So didn't go out yesterday. Same thing. I was just tired. Today, totally was still. We were supposed to be in Jersey anyway, so it was like
Before
bonus
ISIS.
days. Before,
Okay, and everybody, we know that the storm's not ISIS.
Well, I just can't pronounce the
Neither
name of
one
it.
of us can actually pronounce the name of this hurricane, so we're just calling it ISIS. Because
Yeah.
it's 2020, and all hurricanes should be named ISIS in 2020.
Today, since I already it's actually the first day I've been able to like take off in a long time.
Yeah, today.
So
Well,
I
because you
would-
closed the shop because of the hurricane.
Well, before the hurricane, I was like, all right, I'm not going to Jersey, but I'm still going to stay home with Jess. So I'm going to paint. I finished the whole downstairs of my house.
Looks good.
No, it doesn't. I totally plan
I like
on
the color.
all the trim work. It's easier for me to tape the wall now that's painted, and then
And
do
then go
all
back
the
and do
white.
the trim work. Yeah.
Anyway, but then we had the hurricane, closed the whole store. But I was like, all right, I'm not setting an alarm. I'm just gonna wake up whenever. Freaking 5 o'clock. I am 100% awake. Like I could have went out and done everything. Usually, when you set an alarm to go fishing, sometimes you're like,
My problem is the night before. I have a hard time sleeping the night before. I know that I'm
you
getting
get
early
excited. I get
alarm.
excited.
It's not excited. I just get nervous that I'm not going to get enough sleep and that's going to be groggy. So
I've done it.
I had a hard time
Did I
getting
tell you I've
sleep.
done it once where I was fishing Lewis a couple years ago? I just didn't even go to sleep.
Oh,
I think we
couldn't do
talked
that.
about it because I think I was getting up at 2 or 1 a.m. It's a 3-hour drive to hit the 5 a.m. high tide or low tide sunrise right in the middle of summer. So I didn't even go to sleep. I was tying flies. I was like, I'll be more tired if I sleep for an hour. But yeah, today I was basically up at.
Can I jump in with a story that's related to that?
Yeah.
Before, because I don't want to mess your flow up. But
Oh, yeah.
I got a story that's right on target with that. So this was 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Mhm.
I was in Alaska, in Seward, Alaska, outside Anchorage, and fishing a silver salmon derby. And I was there with my father-in-law. We were doing some work in Anchorage, and we would go down to Seward, which was like the next closest town, but it was literally like a 5-hour drive from
Yeah.
Anchorage to Seward. And we got done with the work, so we were fishing. We fished more than we worked when we were there.
Mhm.
And we went down. We had a charter, or we had a charter the next day, and then we got done early. And we were like, because it stays light, so late.
Mhm.
So we called down there and said, can we get a charter for like this afternoon or this evening? So we fly down there, like not drive, but literally run down there to Seward and fish until like 9:30, and then have dinner. By the time we get done with that day's fishing,
like midnight.
It's midnight, right?
Yeah.
And it's still full blight out, and we had to be back at 6:30 a.m. the next morning. So it was like it's like a 5-hour drive. There's nowhere to go. So we were like, we'll just find someplace to stay here. And talking to the waitress in the restaurant that's fully packed with people at midnight because it's bright sunshine outside. I was like, is there any place to stay? And she says, oh no, with the derby, everything's full up, And she's just like, just do what everybody else does. Just you go park behind the grocery store. So there was 3 of us in the Ford Explorer that we'd rented, And we go behind this place, and there's literally the whole parking lot behind it.
It's just full of people.
It's just full of people. Just
All
absolutely
stinky fishermen.
full of people. So we set up for the night, and we sleep in the car, and then get up the next morning, and I barely slept. We went into the grocery store, bought toothbrushes, and went in their bathroom and kind of got cleaned up.
Jeez.
But I had the best day fishing that day because you were doing deep water jigging for salmon.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd let a line like on a banana weight, and you would just sit there and you jig, and it was all about the rhythm. And you drop a little line, you jig a little, you drop a little line. And I was sleep fishing, and I was lighting them salmon up because it was just like I would count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then drop it 5 feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then drop it. So anyway, that was a long story, but it was related to not getting any sleep. Sorry, Joey.
No, I've done the same.
I'll shut up now.
But yeah, today definitely wasn't fishing when I woke up, but I was 100% awake. I was so aggravating.
Well, that was good though because of tornado.
We had tornado. Well, I knew it was gonna be windy, so I wasn't going out. But no, I just luckily, I mean, I'll do a bunch of Joey stuff really quick. But
Take your time.
the knee's been hurting, but I have my doctor's appointment on Friday to figure out what's going on or if I'm cleared. Basically, it's sore a little bit, but I'm afraid to do certain things because I don't want to.
Sure, be careful.
Because the way I messed it up was random.
Yeah.
Luckily, yesterday I got my dad's kayak put away. I went down to the water, and I don't know. I got to talk to native. I think it's my front hatch that leaks a little bit. It's sitting down there. It's flat, and the water will puddle up around the front hatch, the big one. But I had so much rain or so much water in my hull of my boat.
Huh.
So even if I went out early one morning, it would have taken me 20 minutes to drain it like I did today.
It was a lot of rain last week.
We got so much rain in the evenings.
Yeah.
So it was probably good I didn't go out early in the morning when it was dark to get my boat in the water for sunrise.
This morning?
No, not this morning. I did this yesterday afternoon, right around when you text me.
Yeah.
And because I just got back and I was doing other stuff for work, and because I pulled it up because at a high tide down there where the kayak racks are, the water's almost already up there.
Okay.
Like nothing happened. I haven't been down there, but I figured if there was we're getting 10 inches of water, I thought all those boats would have gotten flooded away. Everyone's kayaks down at our community pier.
Yeah.
So I dragged it up here. It's out back, which means I'm going to give it its good bi-week.
Ooh, giving a scrub it?
Yeah, I do it. I scrub every 2 to 3 weeks.
Bring my by? Can I bring my boat over and scrub it?
I got sawhorses and everything else back to put it on, which it probably will break those. So that's about my kayak stuff. I'm itchy to. I think I'm either going to fish St. Jerome's or St. George on Sunday morning or Monday or maybe both mornings.
Okay.
I missed the KB. You even texted me.
Are you?
You texted me?
Yes, I did.
And I was like, oh yeah, sure. I get upstairs, started reading my book, go to sleep.
I was going to lead you in. I was going to say, Jerry, are you fishing any August tournaments? You got anything going on in August on the tournament?
I was like, oh man, and like you said on the website, there's all kinds of stuff I could do. I did contemplate for, I ordered a catch board too and all.
Oh, you got a catch board or a hog trough?
Which I don't know. I went to some website off of KB.
The catch boards are really nice.
I don't know. I paid like $40, I think.
You got a catch board,
No.
Yeah. Good job. They're actually talking about how next year the hog troughs are probably going to be
pushed
no
out.
longer. They're going to be phased out. Too many people are trying to bend them to increase length.
No, that's what she said.
Else?
There's a. I don't know. For a second, I was like, the redfish one pops up. I've been hardcore talking about redfish, everyone, and we're not catching the same fish that everyone is, but it's a whole East Coast tournament, and I logged on today, and the lady's got like, was it 90 or 100 inches? I'm like, son of a
biscuit.
nutcracker. Like, anyway, I was like, there's more motivation to like 100% fish for that. Just like I thought if I did the bass one, it was more, not 100%, but I figured that at least that one would be easier for me to just try to throw in some of the creeks around here.
Yeah.
Instead of going out to Charles County all the time. But
same limit, 5 fish for redfish?
Yeah, it's almost the same exact rules, everything. Just 2 different types of fish. But I missed out. And I realized...
What do they do for the big bulls? I mean, do they count?
I guess. I mean, this...
You can go out but you're in a kayak.
But I think your kayak's limited into... Well, the dude the other day was in shallow Texas water in Texas.
Catching 40-inch
Catching
fish.
like a 44. Did not plan on catching a 44. I mean, I think it was huge, but there's a Gulf division, which is its own thing, and then there's like a whole East Coast, or the Atlantic
What's the range? That's not my world. What is the range? Redfish go as far north as?
I think we're about as far north.
Yeah.
And it's weird that they're this far north over the last couple of years. It's kind of how our fishery's changing. Because it's not normal. I mean, the farthest north you would really see them was Swansboro.
And we'd go down to Outer Banks in the fall, and we'd go down to Puppy Drum for Puppy Drum back in the Sounds.
They're starting to get the numbers you're seeing up in Virginia, up the bay are ridiculous. Now they're up all the way up here.
Yeah,
and it's that's the way they're talking about the fisheries switching in the bay.
Fish.
But where Charleston is the East Coast mecca, and parts of Georgia, and even Wilmington's huge.
Yeah.
So there'll be a Wilmington or Charleston trip in the fall.
They're gorgeous fish. They really are beautiful.
I just get more addicted every day to them. That's kind of I talk zero about fishing, but that's just how it is.
Okay.
Life got in the way, and I'm afraid to bust my knee up. Even on a pedal drive, it's getting in and out. It's lugging a 140-pound kayak.
Yep.
And I was like, I can use my arms if I want, but
a lot of grunt work.
It is. I was afraid of pulling it yesterday because I actually float the kayak now. Because remember how we did it the time you guys came over back in March?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have a whole different system now. It's really easy.
Thank God.
And probably not the greatest for your guys' setup because you have a lot of tchotchkes all over your boat.
Yeah.
Like I take everything out of my boat.
You just throw it in the water?
I put it on the dock, but I'm only taking a bag. I actually have a bag now and then all my little stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll keep my net and stuff in the boat, but I take the wheels off and I swing it over the pier, just put the ass end in and
let it go down.
Let it go. I'm only dropping it a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not busting the rudder. I did get a new Boondocks rudder for my kayak.
It would be nice if your setup down there had.
If I don't put a boat in there, I really am thinking about getting a little floating kayak thing
to put right in your slip because you have a slip.
Got a slip, and I'll. I think the only thing I would do is I'd actually get like a kayak, like a boat cover for my kayak.
I got wave ports.
Here. I think that might be the thing maybe next year.
Yeah,
and because we got multiple kayaks and stuff.
That's actually would be a really good idea for you.
But it's easy to take out of the water too, the same way.
Yeah,
you're not. I mean, it's
the
three of us lugging them.
God.
And because we were doing it where it's really tall.
Yeah,
I mean, when you get a high tide, I mean, you're only going a foot and a half or two. Anyway, that's you doing a lot of fishing.
Well, I did. To circle up from last week, I got into the trout last week, which I was very excited about.
Yeah.
But then I went down to the Watauga River and did some wade fishing, in some really fast moving water, and I found some smallmouth. Nothing of any size. I really wasn't fishing for size. I was looking for fish because I'd never fished down there before. And folks, I was in Western North Carolina in outside of Boone in a place called Banner Elk, which is the Watauga River in Western North Carolina. And I did find my smallmouth. I did find a whole flipping school of rock bass. You ever caught like a bunch of rock bass?
Never.
Man, that's just so much fun. They could care less that you're there, I think, is a part of it. I looked into like the story behind that fish. Apparently they're not sensitive to the presence of people. So this little place where I was fishing is like a little cut in the river where people would actually go in and tube and mess around in the water. And I was throwing a little 1/8 ounce or a 1/16 ounce jig head, and I tipped it with some nightcrawler, and I was just letting it bounce down over these rocky bottoms. And on 2-pound, 4-pound test on a 4.5 foot ultralight rod, a 3/4 pound to a pound rock bass puts up one fun little fight in moving water. I just had a great time. I mean, I know people may look down on that fish, but man, I had a lot of fun catching those rock bass, and I probably caught 12 or 15 of them in an hour and a half. Also got into some green sunfish, which are really pretty. Little mouth's a little bit bigger, and they got that green kind of neon thingy going on up around their face. So rounded out my week in the mountains, and now that we're back here, the August KBF Largemouth Challenge for Maryland is underway. I haven't scored any fish yet. I got back on the first, did some stuff on the second. I actually fished yesterday morning trying to get ahead of the storm that came before the big storm, but it was just so doggone hot. And I didn't get up early, and so it was sort of a mid-morning fish, and I only knew I was only going to fish for a couple of hours. I got a couple of dinks. I got a couple of small fish, but nothing to score. And so I haven't really made a run at it yet, but we'll get there. That's August. My August challenge, I'm approaching it as it's just going to be what happens when it happens. I'm not really too focused on it like I did last month and then the month before. I really focused on my tournaments.
Oh, you were hardcore.
Yeah.
It was hard to get you to
do anything else.
Yeah.
To do anything else. So I think August, I'm going to approach it a little differently, and August is going to be more of a have at. I really would like to go out. We were talking about getting some catfish.
yeah.
Because we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. When you're bass fishing, you're just flaying that rod and you're just beating the banks and you're just throwing baits and throwing baits. I'd love to go out and just, bait up something stinky and drop it in the water and let it sit there for a little bit. And then all of a sudden a big fish comes along and you just sit there and chill and wait for that fish.
I think
something pleasant about that.
The back of your creek would be good for catfish.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I feel like.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I want to take some. I want to go back to getting a bobber.
I had
and some night crawlers.
So after the storm passed this morning, I went down to the creek to check on the pier and everything to make sure everything was good. Really didn't. The water's super muddy. It's ridiculous. It's just. It wasn't high. Unless it was a low tide. I really didn't check the time windows. I'm not really plugged back in local yet. I feel like I'm still like on mountain time. So I need to kind of get resynced with all of that. But I was like, let me see, because we had crabs on Sunday. Had a couple dozen crabs from the pots on Sunday. And so I pulled the pots and I was like, let me see if I got any crabs through this store. And I picked up a dozen crabs yesterday. And I guess they were all looking for somewhere safe to run away. They picked the wrong place to run away to, though. So let's take a look. I've been curious about hurricanes.
Because I want to talk to you about this. And
impact fishing. You want to go there first? You want to talk about that? I got other stuff to talk about. Which one of those two things? You want to talk about hurricanes?
Talk about spot burning.
I'll talk about spot burning.
It happens. No big deal.
So I get a lot of grief over my YouTube videos and how the fact that I will most times, I will tell people where I'm fishing. But, I mean, here's my take on that. When I tell somebody, thank you, Joy. When I tell somebody in a video where I'm fishing, it's not a spot, crack of the week. It's not a spot that somebody else has told me about and is like some super secret thing.
It's not like my neighbor's private stuff.
Well, even if it's private, it's private. You can only get in there if you're supposed to be in there.
Yeah.
But the places that I talk about in videos are found on the Maryland Department of Natural Resources Public Angler Database. So if your secret spot I'm burning is listed on the Maryland Public Angler Access Database, you need to up your secret game, brother. You need to actually step it up a little bit. But I had something happen this week because I'll post stuff around and stuff gets shared on Facebook and I'll get tagged and I'll see stuff. There was one of the snakehead groups where a conversation evolved. Now, I'll be honest with you, Joe, I didn't really actually read all of it. I thumbed through some of it, and it turned into other people were arguing with other people, and I wasn't even a part of it.
But it chimed off of your post?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't even start the conversation. People were just going at each other. But this is where it really upset me. Somebody turned it into racial slurs. Talking about,
how do you go from snakehead to that?
I don't know, but it really...
That's almost as accurate as people posting the potato picture. You see that on Facebook now?
No. Potato picture?
Like everyone likes to argue about something on the internet, so here's a picture of some potatoes.
Blue, green, grass.
No, it's just a potato.
And they want to argue about the potato?
Well, the point of it is people will argue about anything.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll turn into that, and you post about snakeheads, and that's what happened?
Yeah. So it turned into spot burn, and spot burn turned into racial slurs. And I turned off commenting.
Just go fishing, people.
And that's what I said. Somebody was talking about a specific group of people now showing up to fish this location and how it was going to be horrible. And I was just like, dude, literally, you just need to go fish in a puddle, brother. Just get out of here. Yeah. I don't want to hear. So, but honestly, folks, if you want to know where to go fish, ask me. And if I have any information, I'll share it with you. That's one of the things that, we do two podcasts. We do a gravel bike podcast because Joey and I are both in the gravel bike world, and we do this fishing podcast. We're both in this world. And one thing you got going on in the world of gravel bikes is everybody helps everybody else. Now,
100%.
In kayak fishing, I think you see some of that.
Yeah.
I see a lot of that in the world of kayak fishing. But in other places, it's so It's not even that it's competitive. It's not even that it's competitive.
Unless you use a Hobie.
You need to apologize to people for that.
I ain't got crap for that.
I should have included
you
that
just
in your
said that
section.
everyone's trying to help each other, and I didn't mean to butt that one in there.
Everybody's being nice to each other, except for Joey wants to bash the Hobie owners.
You had the big row native versus Hobie. Anyway.
So now, one thing I wouldn't do, if somebody said, hey, Brian, you want to go fishing? And I got this really cool spot. Now, and another thing, too, like we fish Mallows Bay. We fish Mattawoman Creek.
Yep.
And there's certain places you put in at. Those places are listed. If I drop in at Slavens, I'm not going to say, hey, go, a quarter of a mile down to the right and there's a log and there's a cut and go back up in there. I'm not doing that. You can probably figure out when you look at my videos where I'm fishing, the big old lily pad beds and the bends and the saddles. You can tell where I'm fishing if you know the waters. But, if I say, hey, I'm going to Mattawoman Creek, there's no difference in that and saying I'm going to Seven Ponds over at Myrtle Grove.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll another thing to say about it, and I'm gonna stop about it. I can tell you on the internet where to go, what to throw,
Exactly,
and you're still gonna go there, and you may or may not catch fish. It all comes down to the fact that you still have to put in the time. May giving you a little jump start, showing you that there's certain fish in certain places, and I think that's just helpful. I don't know. It's just that whole conversation bothered me, and I'm the guy with the mic, so I can put my spin on it, and the rest of you can just suck it. Honestly, if it's on the Maryland Public Angler Access Database, I'm going to talk about it. Sorry.
I know. I mean, and you're out here trying to educate people, and
yeah,
I think we're all trying to get everyone into it.
What do you have anything to add to that conversation, or am I out here on a?
No, I don't have a problem telling anyone. I mean, people tell me stuff, I tell them stuff.
Yeah,
it's having a network of people is great.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Maybe your network of people is a YouTube channel, but you give a little bit, you'll get some back. It's all about what you put into it.
Another thing that was funny, it was like somebody said, fake YouTuber. And I'm going, wait a minute. This is a video of me catching fish.
Yeah, and you have multiples.
Where's your video of you catching fish? And who's fake and who's...
There is a chunk of, every industry has it. There's fishermen.
Yeah.
And I think the gravel bike industry is a kind of little oddball where people are really friendly.
They're super friendly.
But I do think on the kayak side of fishing...
I think so.
You get minus the Hobie joke. Sorry, Hobie. Sorry, Jerry.
We'll make sure to tag Jerry in this so that he knows it.
I mean, he probably listens to this one more than the gravel one now. But anyway, but I hear the kayak side of thing all the time.
Yeah.
So
it's a friendly group. It's a friendly community. I look on the KBF forums of people in tournaments, and people like, look at what I caught. And people are like, yeah, right on, good job. And the funny thing is, this same person that got so upset about burning a public access fishing spot, I went back and looked at it, and he went so far as to racially slur an ethnic group. I looked back in his posts in that group, and it wasn't a few months ago. He was saying, hey, where'd you go to catch that fish on somebody else's post? It's like, what? I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. But I guess maybe the fact that I don't get it is a good thing. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Let's jump away from that because it's very aggressive, and I feel like I'm...
like I said, spot burnings, you get in, what did I say? If you put in a little bit, you get some out of it too.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And like I said, I'm not going to. Somebody takes me out and says, "Hey, turn here, turn left. Here's some GPS coordinates where you're going to find a hole or some structure." I'm not doing that. I'm not giving that away. I'm going to say, "Hey, I went into Slavens. Hey, I launched at Mallows Bay. If one of those two places is your big giant secret,
I mean, you might be able to give them that too, but those are title dependent. You get tied wrong. There's too many factors for people to get butthurt over it.
So enough about that.
Let's talk about hurricanes because I'm really interested in. I do think fishing gets really good after hurricanes sometimes.
Well, I'm not really sure. I think in saltwater versus freshwater, it makes different changes.
Yeah.
I don't know. So let me walk through some bullet points that I've got. So we wanted to talk specifically about how hurricanes impact fishings. And obviously, there is an impact.
Yep.
I mean, you can't say the big giant storm coming through is not, in the late summer and the fall, is not going to have an impact.
Yep.
But what you need to understand, and I think you got to get some basics first, is the water that we fish, and talking specifically about the bay. Now, I'm not really focused on freshwater here, but it's made up of layers of temperature and salinity.
Yep.
And those factors, in a perfect world, those factors before the storm comes through determines where in the water column certain fish will be. And those specific factors are going to determine where they go after the storm passes. Nothing changes in that. So the salinity is driven by the volume of water that floods into the bay, both during and after the storm. Mm-hmm. And obviously that's going to lead to a drop. It's not going to increase the salinity of the water. Yeah. So understand that freshwater intrusion from rain in volumes of rain and buckets of rain like we had this morning is going to drop the water's salt content. Now, also the cold rains from the large storms are going to doubly impact. So both the temperature and the salinity are going to change. A specific example, speckled trout. They commonly move to adjust to preferred salinity, and other species that have been that are more sensitive to the water temps may migrate to find a water column that is more suitable to their needs. But specks are kind of that's something they're known for, is looking for that salinity. So if you caught specks in a certain spot last week,
they're not going to be there.
Chances are they're not going to be there this week. But over time, that's going to come back. So that's the water temperature and the water salinity. But there's another factor that comes into play. These hurricanes can also produce current that extends below the surface that impacts bottom formations. So if you know of a structure or a bar or something that was in a place, or some type of live bottom that was a habitat for fish, there's a chance that that's going to change. So now you've got all these factors. You've got three factors, temperature, salinity, and structure, that all could be affected by that hurricane. I mean, is that all making sense? I mean, this is just my take on it. I don't know. So you also got now oxygen levels to look at, and then here's the one that everybody kind of knows about, and it's the obvious brainer, is debris that comes into the water. Especially if you're thinking about tidal rivers, and make sure you're checking the news sources for the areas that you're thinking that you want to go for any potential spills, like chemical spills that could have happened because of a storm that could in fact impact the water that you're fishing. And take special care, obviously, to watch out for the large debris that may float on or just below the surface that can damage a boat. Yep. Bottom line is, it's about quality of water. Salinity, temperature, oxygen levels, debris, and bottom structure all change. Now, you were saying you think that it actually is better. What makes you say that?
I don't know. I feel like when you get in certain drags, it changes the oxygen level, changes salinity. I mean, maybe it's not the best for every type.
So maybe fish come back to a place they were earlier in the year because all of a sudden now the oxygen level's better.
You get, I guess, freshwater I always think of, you get a little bit of that chocolate milk for a while, but it's putting more oxygen back in. It's cooling the water down a little bit. Yeah. Little things like that. I mean, I don't fish too much after hurricanes often.
We don't get them big here.
No.
Very often.
And I hear I always hear like these comeback stories of like marshes and stuff where people just think it's killed the whole fishery. Guys go out a couple days after, a week after, and it's better than it ever was. But the few times around here where I've gone after storms, I don't know, I just feel like it just changes stuff a little bit.
So
it mixes things up.
I think from a freshwater perspective, because I've been fishing some ponds that, the water temperature is 90 plus.
Yeah.
And the water levels are major low. Now all of a sudden they've got new water, they've got turned water.
Yep.
You give it a couple of days for some of that chocolate to go away. And you're going to find probably a good fishery. We're talking about the grasses and the submerged grasses that you couldn't fish in a pond 2 days ago that now are going to have 6 or 8 or maybe 10 inches of water sitting on top of them. Yeah. Now you're able to rud that buzzbait over top of that grass, and that fish is sitting down in that grass. He's going to be able to hear, feel that, and he's going to want to go at it. Yep. So I think that, from a freshwater perspective, my experience has been that sometimes it gets much better. I know it's just like a thunderstorm. You get a really, really wicked thunderstorm that comes through. I've had some of my best fishing after a thunderstorm rolls through because it just cools that water off. Yeah. There's lots of water flowing into the pond. It's bringing stuff for them to feed on. It really turns the fish on. The oxygen levels are higher. I think a hurricane's sort of an extreme example of that. I don't know. I don't know. If any of you out there have an experience with this that would be interesting, I'd love to hear it. Leave it in the comments, or drop us an email or something through the website. I'd love to hear what other people's thoughts are on this. I mean, it's just thinking about those things that fish relate to before a storm, and then how those things change after a storm. And what that does to the fish. And I love the idea of thinking about places that maybe you need to think back to spring, when oxygen levels were higher and temperatures were lower and salinity was different. And maybe that's a good way to think about it. If I was catching a fish there, or if there was a lot of fish activity, because this is the real thing. It's like, so cobia haven't been this far up in the bay. They weren't this far up in the bay in spring. So how does it affect a fish that hasn't been here during different time periods, and where do they go and what do they do? I think we're probably leaving more questions than answers. But I think it's food for thought. And I think we're all fishermen, we're all anglers, we all love figuring out puzzles. So I'd be curious what everybody else thinks. I don't know. I know, but from freshwater standpoint, as soon as that water clears, I think fish are going to be back on it. Back on it. And that'll be just in time, because I should actually have all my magazines distributed by then. I don't know. You got anything to add to that? I just...
No. I learned some stuff from that. So
I rambled a little bit on that. So and these are just my thoughts, and thinking about what the water's like before and what the water's like after. So you want to do this or that?
Yeah. Do you have one though?
No, I don't. Fishing this or that. So everybody, this is something we do on our other podcast that people seem to really love. We oppose two things against each other, and mostly are ridiculous.
Yeah.
And determine which one we would rather do. You want to see if we can come up? We should be easy to come up with one off the top of your head.
You want to be a spot burner, or
that's great. A spot burner, or never share the fact that you actually know how to catch fish.
Yeah,
because those really go against each other, right?
Oh yeah.
If you're never going to actually tell people where you fish, then they can't tell that you actually caught fish. Have you ever seen on like Reddit? Or any of those places where people will blur the backgrounds of a pictures because they're so afraid that somebody's going to see what's in the background, and they're going to know where they caught their fish.
Oh man, it's like 1st of April. Someone's got like a 45-inch striper, and they try to blur out the whole background of the power plant.
Exactly.
It's the only place you're catching them in early April, but we're going to blur it out. Yeah.
No, that's actually a pretty good one. I would much rather be a spot burner and be able to tell people where I caught fish. Maybe we'll prepare better for next week and do it and have a little fun.
I forgot about it for the fishing one.
I did too.
I mean, I threw together the bike ones really good.
I totally forgot about it. So, you got anything else before we shut this thing down, Joey?
No, just be careful with the strappers.
Yeah, be careful with the stripers, and
find something else.
Watch the debris in the water from the storm. Big takeaways from this week. And if you don't like spot burning, then don't watch my videos.
Jeez, Brian, that's kind of mean.
No, I think most people are actually okay with it. I don't think it's. I think there's that vocal minority that get really bent out of shape. Yep. Hey, folks, if you're looking to catch up with us, Facebook.com/Angler Magazine Chesapeake. On Instagram, you can find the magazine at Chesapeake Angler. You can find me at BN Rains. That's RAINES. Joey, how can folks find you?
At Joey Sikorsky 24 or at Pack Paddles.
Or any of those things where we actually all tag each other.
Yeah, I think if I try to post, I'm going to try to tag.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you're looking for that YouTube channel where I burn all the spots in Southern Maryland, you can go to youtube.com/Chesapeake Angler. And of course, you can read the e-magazine online at ChesapeakeAnglerMag.com. And if you've got any thoughts or ideas on post-hurricane fishing, either freshwater or salt here in Maryland, I'd love to hear them. And that's about it from me. You good, Joey?
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
That's it.
We will talk to you next time. And until next week, everybody get bent. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.